Let's solve the final assignment for the Photos and Illustrations module. So in here, you're gonna have to basically use the four images that we have in here and create the entire header of this futuristic website. So as you can see, it's not just going to be that. We're also going to have to reference things that we learned in the previous modules with playing around with shapes. But overall, everything that we learned so far has gotten us to the point where we can honestly create a header. Now, one thing that you're gonna notice is the text is actually turned into outlines. I would never ever recommend it for UI design unless it's gonna be used as an image. You can use it for graphic design because maybe you're sending the files over to someone who doesn't have that particular font and style, so that's good. But when it comes to UI design and UX design, I would never recommend turning text into outlines. There is only one effect that we kind of have to do with that if we want to have a photo in the background of the text, like the text being used as a mask. That's the only place where that would be kind of acceptable, but you would still have to let the developer know what font it is. This way, we're losing the font size, we're losing the line height values, we're losing a lot of things. So the only reason why I turned it into outlines is because you might not have that font installed, and it might kind of be annoying when you're going over this file to always have the pop-up that Figma kind of gives you for switching the fonts to something else. And that might also make it impossible for you to create a style like this. Since the purpose of this assignment wasn't to work with text at all, just keep it like it is, I just made it outlines for the purpose of this assignment. So what can we see in here? We can turn on the grid by using the shortcut like this, and you can easily see that all of the visual elements are actually placed onto the grid. So in here, these three columns and these three columns are covered by a photo. I think this one is just cropped, so I'm just gonna copy this one and place it in here and kind of place it into place. I think it's gonna be, oh yeah, it's 5 columns, so it is this one and 3 columns in here. I'm trying to kind of get to the size that it might be. Knowing me and knowing how much I use 8s, it might be something like this. This is definitely too far. Maybe 80. Okay, so yeah, it might be this, but I also think it's a little bit bigger. I just want to get it done correctly, so I'm gonna place it over this and just kind of try to figure out. Okay, so it's gonna be 400. Okay, perfect. Okay, and I'm also guessing that this one in here is kind of the duplicate of it. So 18 here, place it onto the grid, but it's smaller. It's definitely smaller, so I'm guessing 320. Okay, cool. This looks honestly pretty good. I think this part is done. It's cropped and positioned. Now, what else needs to be done? So this is definitely not going to have an image fill. It's going to be a gradient fill. And it's going to be some vivid color choice, like this top pixel in here. I'm also going to use the same color for the bottom, and I'm just going to make the opacity something like 20 or 30%. That feels good. Okay, so one thing that we can see in here is that this is definitely a masked photo, but it can also be done through a plugin. Remove backgrounds. Again, this is something that I use personally a lot, and for me it makes total sense to pay for the license for it. So I do have a license for this tool. If you don't worry, no problem there. I'm just gonna try to crop it a little bit so that it's easier to work with it. and to position it how I want it to be positioned. But yeah, definitely something you don't have to do for this course or like ever. It's just something that to me is very useful because I often have the need to kind of crop images when I'm working with them and kind of remove background from them. So yeah, I think I'm gonna place it in here like this. That feels okay. Again, if you don't have the budget to use a paid tool like this, there's a lot of online tools that you can use for removing the background, or you can use the pen tool and kind of create a mask. So both versions work. Some are just like taking a little bit longer and require more of your time and effort. The other ones are really easy, but these ones are free and these ones are paid as options. Okay, so this image is also done, so I'm just going to remove it from here for now. The other thing that I'm seeing is I feel like this entire background is just going to be this image, so I'm just going to place it in here and kind of drag it all over the frame. I'm going to set it to back, and I'm going to play around with adjustments. Oh, okay, so exposure, definitely. I'm not sure if saturation is used. I don't think it is. So maybe it's just like a lighter version. Yeah, honestly, this might be it. So it's like 50% and the exposure is turned on all the way up. Because of that, there is a lot of this grainy effect, which honestly works with a space theme that we have. And like some designers might call it a day and like this is enough for the header, but as you can see in here, we also have a lot of different elements that were played around with. So one of them is kind of this chevron shape, arrow shape that goes to the left side. How can we create it? Well, let's do it one of the easiest way. Let's grab a line tool, and I'll hold shift so that I have like a perfect angle in here, and then I'm gonna also hold shift and just get it to a point like this, and that should be it. I'm just gonna make it a little bit bigger, something like this. I mean, it can get bigger if needed. And I'll try my best to actually use like regular numbers for it. So I feel like there's going to be something in here. There's going to be a couple of them in here. Again, I feel like they're a little bit even more bold. Maybe like 20. I'm going to grab this, place it here. No one's expecting perfect, and like if you really want to play around with it to get it to the point where it feels perfect, like feel free to do so. I just want to show you everything that you need to do to make it work. I do need to place this above the background image because otherwise the image would recover it and it would kind of fade. I'm just gonna color pick a couple of these. So this one feels like white, but it's not white, it's kind of light pink. And this one is going to be the magenta color that we used. Okay, so it's progressing really nicely. I'm really happy with what's already on the screen. I can see that there is like one bigger one in here. I'm going to make it like that. And it's a lot wider. This feels good. And I do feel like this one is just like a linear gradient going from the fully colored option into a less colored one. So something like this. Awesome. And then there's another one which I'll just send to back because it feels like it's below all of the other items. The only thing that it should be above is the place in here. I'm just gonna make it black for now, and I'm gonna make it something like really massive. and make it also big enough so that it works where it needs to. Okay, so definitely big enough, but the stroke in here is even wider than that. Okay, I think it's somewhere in here. And I can make the image fill for it. So I'll do that. I'll grab this image and I'll go to the stroke part and kind of place it as a fill. But one thing I don't like is the way that it's presented. So let's say it was 208 if I'm not mistaken. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to outline the stroke and just use the fill in here. I think this is going to achieve a better effect. And then finally, there's also some cropping that needs to be done. What I do want to make in here is just flatten the shape so that the rotation of the image doesn't happen as it did in here. That should be the correct position. Let's do some small cropping like this, even smaller. Yeah. Okay, these two images are no longer needed. We have this, looks perfect, honestly. Maybe the only thing is I feel like these items are on the top level, so I'm just gonna bring them to the front. Yeah, definitely. Oh, this one too. Sorry, did I send it to back? Bring to front. And yeah, we have a header complete for this like futuristic potential website. Let's see you in the next lesson.